Hi, so I'm just doing quite a long video this time on the foliage that I'm planning on growing and using this year. So when I first started planning my little cut flower plot, there were two things that were really emphasised to me. One of them was, don't just use eucalyptus because everyone uses eucalyptus. And secondly was, make sure that the bulk of what you have is actually foliage and fillers. Like, don't just grow all focus flowers, because you'll have nothing to actually make a bouquet from, because you'll just have a huge bunch of focal flowers. You have to make sure that you've got that variety and enough of the foliage to be able to make enough bouquets, and also foliage that will grow all throughout the year. Otherwise, come sort of autumn winter time, you could be left with nothing again to add to your bouquets. So here I've just done some images and just talking about what I've done regarding seeds and plants, etc. for the foliage, and what I'll be foraging and what I've already got in my garden, etc. So I hope it's helpful. So first up we have Haloragis, which I've probably pronounced wrong, and the variety is Wellington Bronze. So this one I'm going to be growing from seed. I've already got some seedlings, I've potted them on and hopefully get them out in the ground once the frost has gone. So it's a perennial, it's a really good self-seeder. It grows in even the worst soil imaginable, and it has this lovely golden, bronzy, reddish foliage, which is really, I think, amazing. It grows to about 50 centimetres high, so that's pretty good for cutting. I haven't seen that used in bouquets a lot, so it'll be interesting to see how it works. So next up is Amaranth Tricolor Early Splendor. Again, I'll be growing this from seed. The seeds actually for the last one and this one I bought from Plant Wild Seeds down in Devon. This is an annual though, so I haven't started the seeds for it at all. And it can grow up to 150 centimetres, so this one is huge. It's not the type of thing that I would normally see myself going for. I mean, it has this really bright pink crimson tops with these gorgeous dark chocolatey leaves underneath. Usually I go for softer sort of colours. However, I haven't seen it used in any bouquets, and I think it would be something really different to add. So this one, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the botanical name, but it's basically a variegated kiwi vine. This one I bought as a 9 centimetre plant from Hayloft. It looks really super healthy. It's got lots of buds on it, so I'm really excited. And it's got these gorgeous sort of green leaves with the variegated whites and pinks in it. It is a climber, so you'd cut it differently obviously from like standard foliage from a shrub, etc. But I think it will add a really nice sort of different texture that I haven't seen in bouquets, and I'm just a sucker for anything that's like light pink. You should note that you don't get the variegated leaves on young plants, so they start to show around about 2 years or 3 years. Okay, and so next is Baptisia, which I know is usually grown for their cut flowers. However, I saw on Instagram, can't remember who it was, did a post about it now. They said that the foliage is a really good substitute for eucalyptus. And looking at it, yeah, you've got those gorgeous long green stems with a slightly light powdery green leaves, which, you know, have a similar sort of look as eucalyptus without being exactly eucalyptus. Now, it's a perennial, and I bought mine again, a 9cm plant, but this time from Claire Austin's Hardy Plants. It's died right back because it's winter, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it will come up in the summer. Also, you can leave the flowers to go to seed, and you get these really amazing, interesting, sort of deep black red seed pods. Okay, so this is another one that I'm not even going to try and pronounce the botanical name for, but basically it's a black cotton plant. It is a perennial, but it's really tender, so it can be grown as an annual as well. I've got the seeds from Chiltern Seeds, and I will be attempting to grow it in the greenhouse and keep it as a perennial. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, wow, look at the leaves and the stems, and then obviously you've got these gorgeous pink flowers in the summer, and then the white cotton balls in the autumn and the winter. So this is one that I'm really excited for if I can grow it. So here we have another climber. This is the Suffolk Red, which is basically a grapevine that produces red grapes. So you not only get the foliage with this, but it'll also add a nice sort of textural ingredient if you use sort of the smaller unripened grapevines in an arrangement. And also in the summer you'll start off with this really lovely light green foliage that then in the autumn will fade to sort of yellow, then red and some purple. So this one I got from J. Parker's, and it came in a 11cm pot. The plant's about 40cm, so yeah, I'm really pleased with that one. Okay, and next up is cottonus. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that one. It's basically a smoke bush, and so this variety is called Young Lady. Now I know that smoke bushes are usually used in arrangements for those gorgeous sort of, you know, smoky, wispy flowers that they produce. But I mean, look at the foliage, it's gorgeous, it looks really amazing as well. And obviously it's a shrub, so you know, you don't have to plant it every season, it will be there and it will just get bigger and bigger. And again, another smoke bush. This one's called Royal Purple. So exactly the same as the one before, but with these gorgeous purples and reds rather than the lovely light greens of the other one. Both of these shrubs I bought from J. Parker's again, and they both came in 11cm pots. They look really healthy, but obviously I won't know until I get them in the ground and summer comes around. I think also you get quite good flowers and foliage off of young bushes, so I'm hoping that it won't be too long before I'm actually able to harvest from it. So next up is raspberry foliage, and I know that this is a really popular type of structural foliage that a lot of florists and sort of flower farmer florists are using. I see it appearing in a lot, both just as like in the early spring as just foliage, and then coming into summer with the raspberry berries as well. It seems to be like a really popular go-to choice. I mean, the leaves are gorgeous. It's got those ridges and they're green, so they look really, really nice in an arrangement. All my raspberry bushes, I've got about 8, I want to say 8 on the plot, and then there's just hundreds of raspberry bushes all around the allotment that I can use as well. So this is another climber, and I almost didn't include it because I think a lot of people sort of count this as sort of a textural addition because of the seed pods. It's love in a puff or balloon vine, and I mean the main feature of it is the puff or the balloon, but I like it even without that. I like it just as a foliage. I mean, it's got these lovely long ferny type leaves on it, and even if you were to take all of the balloon seed pods off, you would still have a really nice foliage addition. So this is an annual. It's a really vigorous grower, so you'll get a lot of it. I got my seeds from Chiltern Seeds, and again I haven't started them yet. It's way too early, so we'll have to see how that goes. So this one is another one that's like a favourite of mine. It's perfect. It's got the green, the white and the pink. I mean, that is my favourite combination. I think it looks stunning. So this is a salix, which is basically a willow. It's also called a flamingo tree because of the pink tips. I got mine from B&Q. It can be grown as a shrub. So what they do for the tree is obviously they have a rootstock and they graft the top of it onto it, so you have like this really long, tall trunk with this gorgeous willow plumage at the top. The stems can grow nice and long. It's not branching at all, really. So it's just sort of like wispy sort of foliage that you can use to add to an arrangement. So I've already got that. It's well established and growing, so I'm excited to start getting to use it as soon as I have things to make arrangements from. So this one actually has a really special place in my heart because it's the flowers that this tree produces are one of my all-time favourite smells ever in the world, to the point where I specifically sourced a perfume from Russia that is just pure black locust. So that's the tree. It's black locust or false acacia, and I mean it's a tree. It grows huge. I mean you could coppice it. I think they do. In some countries they plant lots of the trees and then they'll have beehives around them, and you have black locust honey. I actually used some of the foliage last year in arrangements. It was a bit wimpy, but then I wasn't really doing any prep whatsoever. I was literally just cutting and sticking it in a vase with some flowers. So I'm hoping that with the proper treatment, etc., that it will be a nice addition. I mean, I love the foliage. It's a little bit on the droopy side because naturally, even without it being wimpy, because it's a tree. But I think it adds a nice sort of soft movement to an arrangement. So here we have another tree, mock orange or Philadelphus, I think it's called. So this tree that I have access to is actually my mum's, and it's her pride and joy. So I'm actually going to take a cutting from it and grow my own. I know again it's another favourite with flower farmer florists as a structural foliage choice. The last photo is actually from my mum's Philadelphus, and the leaves went this gorgeous sort of pink colour, and I've searched and searched and I can't see any other photos anywhere of mock orange turning its leaves pink. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it, and I think it'll be a really nice unique addition because I haven't seen it anywhere. So another tree that I have access to is quite a young, gorgeous field maple. Again, another really good choice for structural foliage. It's got these lovely green leaves that in the autumn fade into like a lovely yellow and orange. Another one that I'm probably going to mispronounce, but Potentilla arc-en-ciel. I don't know. I'm terrible with pronouncing names. Basically, it comes from the strawberry family, and it has these lovely ridged leaves, the same as a strawberry, but the flowers grow up the way, and as you can see from the photos, they've got these lovely long stems that have like the strawberry type leaves coming off of them. So yes, you can grow them for the flowers, and you can harvest them for the flowers, or you can also harvest them a bit younger before the buds have formed, and you can use them as added foliage, which I think is going to look really amazing. It's going to be a nice textural green. Just adding in at the end here that I got my plant from Birmingham Botanical Gardens, and I bought it as a 9cm plant. And next is another one that I know is a favourite with flower farmer florists, and it's Tartarian honeysuckle. I have access to this, and I used it last year in some of my arrangements, and I have to say that even though I didn't condition anything or use any plant food or even pick anything at the right time of the day, it actually stood up really well in a vase. It lasted for days, so I'm excited to actually harvest it properly this year and use it in arrangements. So this one I know I can't pronounce. I think it's a type of viburnum. That's probably wrong as well. And it grows like wildfire around the whole allotment. There's an absolute ton of it. So I have access to loads of that for next year, and I know that that again is another favourite structural foliage that gets used a lot in arrangements. So another structural foliage favourite is privet. Again, I've got access to a ton of wild privets. It's around my garden, it's around the allotment. So a lot of access to that. And next up, I have access to a huge cherry laurel shrub. And you have to see the leaves really to believe them. They're gorgeous. The leaves are really huge, they're really thick. When they're mature, they're like a really deep dark green, and when they're young leaves, they're like a gorgeous light almost limey green, and they're so glossy. And for structural foliage, it's going to be perfect. The stems are really thick, they're going to hold their shape really well. They obviously won't work in every type of arrangement or bouquet, because they're big, like when you cut a branch it's going to be huge, but I am excited to try it. And last but not least is Eucalyptus gunny. It's not Silver Dolla. No, it is not the overused version of eucalyptus. It's more sort of that silvery, bluey colour. I bought the plant. I got a really good deal on it from Ashwood Nurseries, which is just up the road from me, and I was really excited to get it. I'm not going to use it too much. I'm going to use it sparingly and in the right arrangements, but I just thought, you have to have at least one eucalyptus because people want it at the end of the day. So I hope that this video has been helpful to someone somewhere, because I know that when I started, I really did struggle with the whole idea of, oh my gosh, what foliage do I use, how much should I get, etc. And so as sort of the year progressed, last year I really began to make like a mental note of everything that I had access to, and then sort of bulked it up with buying the seeds and the plants of different things. And it's more about as well what you want to see in a bouquet regards foliage, because there's so many different colours out there. It doesn't just have to be greens or reds or anything. Like, you do you and choose what foliage it is you want to use.